And this is what I've really enjoyed so far about even starting these portraits and thinking about this process is it's connecting me to people and making me think about them in a certain way and just consider and think about my relationships and what different people mean to me. Alright, hi everybody, this is Gable here, coming to you from my painting studio. I'm excited about this video. I'm going to be talking about 5 paintings that I have been busy with. One of the last videos I made, I talked about not using photo references. Right after that, I decided that I would use photo references, something I've really resisted doing over the years, and in particular in relation to doing portraits of people. A lot of the drawing or portraiture that I've done has been directly from life, and I've always kind of preferred to do it that way, but you know what, let me embrace the whole photo references. I decided that I would do some portraits because painting people is obviously something that I'm interested in, and painting portraits is something that I've thought about a lot but I haven't really dove into. And so I just thought, well, let's just go ahead and test a few out and see how it goes. I'm gonna sort of walk through each painting that I've done so far. I started with this one because this is my wife, so I thought it was a cool reference point to have. I wanted someone that I knew, you know, as deeply as I do my wife. And so I just started with her, and I kept a limited palette. Ultimately, initially I wanted the photos for the structure, because when you're working from imagination, it's like you don't have as a clear structure as like when you're working from a photograph or working from life. You have the structure right in front of you as the face. So let's talk about the portraits. I kept the palette really simple. I just used dioxide purple, cadmium orange, and I think that's it. And white. Maybe a little bit of red, bright red. But I basically just wanted to keep the palette really simple, and yeah. And I basically did it in about 3 hours. You can see there's still a lot of the background, kind of the background tone of the canvas showing through. But I definitely really had a lot of fun with it. So the second painting that I did, the second portrait painting I did, was of my cat, Ollie. And ultimately I just thought, you know, maybe I'll just start by painting the people in my household, or the beings in my household, which is me and my wife and my 2 cats and our dog and our unborn child. So I decided to paint Ollie, our cat, and I decided to paint him blue because I wanted to test out how do I paint something the color that I want instead of just using the color that is in the reference. So I put the photo in black and white, and I just focused more on like the values, like the darks and the lights. And so I did this one with ultramarine blue and cadmium orange to get the gray color. And then I feel like I used a lot more colors. I feel like I did use some purple, dioxide purple, and even some red, but fundamentally the core of it, the base of it, was ultramarine blue and cadmium orange, just to get that gray color, trending towards the blue tone. I decided to do his eyes orange because he is an orange cat. So the next portrait I did was of my cat, Charlie. I might get paint on myself here as I'm moving the canvases around because some of them are still wet. So anyways, painted Charlie. I decided after painting Ollie blue, I wanted to do Charlie the color that he is. I wanted to focus on the colors in the photo. Used an old photo that I remember I took of him a long time ago. The photos aren't perfect, you know, and I'm exploring that too. Like, how do you need a good photo reference, or, you know, can you use bad photo references or blurry photos, and like, what does that do? I mean, it's a very explorative process for me. I'm not, you know, I don't want to do like a super formal painting, you know, some ultra realistic thing. That's not really my intention. I want it to keep them loose. I want to, you know, enjoy the process. I really like sketching out and getting the likeness, like that just initial drawing process, and also trying to bring that drawing process of mine, which I you know, I like drawing and I've always been a drawer. And so I'm trying to bring that through more in the paintings instead of, you know, doing it painterly. I want to actually bring my drawing tendencies and the aspects that I like about drawing forward into the paintings. So far each paintings has been taking about 4 hours, from 3 to 5 hours. I wanted to paint them. I wanted to do the background with the moon, and there's some stars. I don't know if you can see them. You know, do a night scene. Charlie's like, he's like a really zen cat, and you know, he's always just like, you come home and he's staring out the window. You look over and he's just like staring into your soul. So I wanted to do, you know, I wanted to depict him kind of in this pose that that I always see him in, where he's just kind of like staring deep into your soul. You know how cats are, right? Ultramarine blue, cadmium orange, bright red. I have a yellow and dioxide purple, and those are the colors that I use mainly. Didn't use any green. I haven't put any green on my palette. Fur was interesting. You know, it's kind of fun to paint fur as opposed to painting like a flesh texture. All right, so the next painting on the list, let's see if we can get some focus here. Okay, so the next painting on the list is a painting of Grant Cardone. So after painting Charlie, you know, it's been really interesting so far thinking, who do I want to paint? And I started looking at, well, who has had an impact on my life? Like who are people that are important to me? Obviously I painted my wife, I'm painting my 2 cats. You know, I find there's like different dimensions. There's the personal, and then there's the interpersonal, in terms of my wife falls into the category of personal. This woman is like personal for me. She's in my life, you know. She's a friend of mine, obviously. She's a close friend. I married her, so we are friends. This is more the interpersonal. Like, I've never met this person. You know, they're maybe more in the public eye. So there's these different layers of types and kinds of people or relationships that I have with different people. And this is what I've really enjoyed so far about even starting these portraits and thinking about this process, is it's connecting me to people and making me think about them in a certain way, and just consider and think about my relationships and what different people mean to me. And what I realized was, like, it doesn't matter, you know, people can have an impact in your life. Like, don't disregard, for me it was a point of not disregarding an idea of a person to paint that came up. So if whatever point came up, whether it was Grant Cardone or my wife or a friend of mine or some celebrity or a musician or whoever, there is something significant there. There is something of value there. And to honor those points coming up instead of being like, I don't want to paint that. That's just silly. I don't want to paint that person. So that's been a point for me too, is to sort of honor the ideas and the people that are coming up, and just be patient and walk the process of doing the portraits and see what emerges. So anyways, I decided to paint Grant Cardone because in 2020, I started listening more to podcasts, and his is one of the first podcasts that I started listening to. He's like a motivational guy, an inspirational guy, and honestly, I found Grant's work like probably 10 years ago, and my initial reaction was like, oh my god, this guy's personality is so abrasive, I can't handle it. Like, I just was like, no, next, and I just was like, got on to the next. But having listened to what he actually is saying, it was like the words, or it's like his personality did have an effect on me. And actually now, as I, you know, through the years, I've been following his work now for 10 years, his abrasiveness, if you want to call it that, is actually what I really like about him. I'm like, you know what, that's really cool. Like, I need more of that in my life. So it was a good balance for me, you know, like, to have this kind of personality. And it was, so he's super entertaining, like, and not only entertaining, but, you know, inspirational. Like, I find, for whatever reason, I find I get inspired by this guy. Not all the time, but sometimes. And I mean, some inspiration sometimes isn't an amazing thing. Like, so anyways, Grant Cardone, been following his work for a long time, and so I was like, let me paint Grant Cardone. So after doing the interpersonal, I wanted to do the personal, and so I did a portrait of my friend. You know, I know this person more intimately than I know Grant Cardone. But what's interesting is, like, I find each person represents like different words to me. Like, you know, Grant Cardone, he's like tenacious and fierce, and like there's these characteristics that I can use to support me to become that or to improve myself. This particular being, the words gentleness, the words patience. Patience comes through. So I wanted to do a more portrait that was personal to me and just explore the different types of relationships I have. And again, keeping it kind of, just keeping the whole process loose. I was able to do this portrait, you know, within the span of a day. I think it was about four-hour process throughout the day. And it's just a process of learning too, like learning how to paint skin colors, how I like them, or create a form how I like it. And that's what this is all about for me right now. It's like, yeah, okay, it's really cool. There's lots of different dimensions opening up about portraits and about people and about my relationships. But it's also about painting, and it's about exploring painting and understanding painting. I wanted it to be this overall kind of lavender color. So I think the background actually started out as kind of a lavender gray color. I usually tone my backgrounds. So this one, I wanted that strong lavender presence to sort of be the main color, and I'm sort of practicing that. You'll see that in my next one too. So it's kind of through and through the painting. So the lavenders and the reds, and try not to fluctuate too much in terms of going all over the place with my color right now. I have some core colors that I use, you know, I've been using for years. This one was Dioxide Purple. It's one of my favorite purples. Got the bright red in there. Orange as well, cadmium orange. But anyway, so I just did this portrait. This is one of the personal portraits, friend of mine. You know, I've been looking at who's had an impact in my life. And so who we have here, Sidney Crosby, Canadian hockey player. I used to play hockey when I was younger. I watched this guy when he came into the NHL, and, you know, I was totally inspired by him. He is kind of like one of the best players in the world. And, you know, it makes me think too, like, as I'm painting the portraits, like, how do I want to paint these people? And the main thing, one of the things that's come up for me as I'm painting this portrait, it's like, what do you have to do to become the best hockey player in the world? You literally would have to give up everything, like, or so much, and just focus on this one particular craft and one particular skill. I also considered the kind of mental strength that you would have to be able to stand in that position and perform at that high level all the time. And to me, that's inspiring. I always was attracted to the people that were the absolute top of the game, the absolute top level of whatever it is that they were doing. That always inspired me, and I always loved playing hockey. I always loved watching hockey. I love watching, you know, super skilled players just excelling, and, you know, the different parts of themselves that they bring forward. I would say the word determination is one word that comes through when I think of Sidney Crosby. So started a painting of Sidney Crosby today, actually. Just this one is still in progress. And I thought initially I would kind of maybe do it like yellow because he plays for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I thought maybe I would do the yellow colors or the Pittsburgh Penguin colors, but we'll see. And I have been thoroughly enjoying the process. It's been actually kind of addicting. You know, for me, it's still, you know, art is a learning process for me, and I really, you know, I feel like I've been able to sort of sink my teeth into this portrait process so far after these 5 portraits, and so that's been really cool. It's been really nice having the structure of finding a photo of a person and then doing the painting, and it's like then walking through the process, having the photo as like the anchor, as the structure that I can utilize to move through this creative process. So using a photo reference is actually quite cool, I'm finding. So it's really assisted me to kind of walk through different paintings without having to sort of, I don't know, I guess maybe lose my focus. I find each photo and each person that I do brings a whole new set of opportunities to explore how to paint another portrait. Like, what am I going to do with the background? What am I going to do with the colors? Like, you know, and just like, how am I going to define this? Maybe I want to slow down a little bit for this one. Maybe I want to speed up a little bit for this one. So that's definitely been fun. I've enjoyed working on this size, which is 18 by 24. And I just use a photo on my phone, and I find I can use that, and it sort of fits this size okay. And I just like paint it kind of looking at my phone, looking at the photo. I don't use any grids or projection or anything like that. It kind of takes the fun out of it for me. You know, I want these things to be realistic and have a likeness, but I also want them to be kind of, you know, like I want to have fun with them. I want to enjoy doing them. If there's some distortions and maybe a little more caricature coming out, that to me is like cool. I like that, you know. I don't want it to be like ultra formal, realistic, like exact replica kind of thing. That's not really where I'm at right now. I had a lot of fun with this one today, and I probably will have to do another session tonight, maybe another hour or two. But anyways, that is my painting process so far with the portraits, which I'm really enjoying, and that's it. So thanks everybody for watching, and see you next time.